Thursday, March 6, 2014, 6:59 a.m. Frank, are you there? Once again, I'm staring at the blank screen. The video feed seems quite unreliable. Yes, I'm here, buddy. I can see you. Guessing you can't see me. Hold on a moment. How's that? I see the timer indicating that something is loading. Abruptly, Frank appears on screen, wearing a frown and looking down at the keyboard. Yep, I can see you now. Ah, good. I must have switched the video off, somehow. I often wonder how Frank has negotiated the electronic age. He seems to have worked wonders with all his equipment, yet he routinely makes the silliest mistakes in operating basic software. It's hard to reconcile the two. Frank sits back in his chair, and I can see him cast in a golden afternoon sunlight. How are things? Still seeing the lovely Justine? No, not really. I mean, we had lunch on Monday, but that kind of just confirmed things for me. I think she just likes me as a friend. Whatever made you think that? Well, it seems coming over for dinner was nothing more than a convenient intervention in her brother's drug problems. You see, I went to one of his gigs and ended up helping with the engineering. As you do. And Justine saw that I was getting along with Tsar, that's her brother. Whereupon she thought you'd make a good distraction? Uh-huh. Frank ponders this for a minute. You know, that doesn't necessarily mean she isn't interested. No, I suppose it doesn't. But in the end, none of that matters now anyway. Why? Funny you should ask. You know how you once tapped that chair next to you? How would you feel if I came over? Okay, not right now, but soon. I have a few things to finish up. So maybe a couple of weeks. Wow, I'm floored. That would be great. But I'm just a bit surprised. After all, you've just started a new life there. You've got a job. Yeah, but it's a law job, Frank. I'm sick to death of doing this. I don't know what I'd do in Rio, but it sure as hell wouldn't be the law. I'd find something. I don't care what it was. I could sell the 2 houses here in Picklejig's name, and I've still got most of the cash you left me. I could invest. I don't know. Why am I still doing something I don't want to do? What do you want to do, nephew? What I really want to do is start writing. Essays, articles, fiction, my own stuff. That's what I want to do. The law and I were never a good fit. To be honest, I hate the whole industry, and I pretty much always have. And more than anything, I hate working for someone else, whether it's someone like Dixon or someone like McRae. Sounds like you're in the same boat as 90% of the lawyers I know. There is a pause as Frank takes a deep breath and leans back in his chair. He tilts his head back, and I can see the stubble on his chin. It's funny how it used to be kind of bronze. Now it's totally white. Okay, first, don't worry about the money side. There's no need to sell anything. I've got plenty. You never told me how you made your money, Frank. Investments. Well, what kind? Well, I suppose the biggest was this. In 2003, I sold everything I had, and I mean everything, including the house in Northbridge. Remember that? And I put it all into Apple shares, just on a hunch. For a while, nothing much happened. By 2005, the stock had risen, but only just. Then suddenly it all went ballistic. By the early 2010s, I'd made a 6,000% profit. Christ. And to think I speculated you were printing money. Nah, don't be silly. Frank looks disgusted. Of course, I also got in early on Bitcoin, and that's worth a small fortune. And there are a few others. Whichever way it goes, I've made enough to keep both of us happy. Geez. The second thing is, even if you were to sell your houses, I'd have to dismantle the equipment first. That isn't easy. The final thing is, I don't know that we want to lose the print locations. You know what I'm saying? It's convenient for travel. Oh, okay. That's a bit of a relief, to be honest. It means I can come over sooner. Frank nods and smiles. I'm not sure how to broach the second and more important topic that I have on my mind. After a while I just say, "May I ask you something else, something completely different?" "Shoot." Frank is rocking himself gently on the back legs of his chair. He's opened up a beer bottle, and I'm wondering if that is good for his heart. "You know I've been making copies of myself, just like you said." "Yep, saw your recordings on the network. Bet you still haven't been to a doctor, though." "Not yet, but I will soon, I promise." "Anyway, what I wanted to know is, why is it so important for us to have a recent copy? I mean, surely a younger me would be better to print. For that matter, after you died, why didn't you get me to print off the youngest possible version of you? Why do I have to go to the latest? You'd be younger, healthier, fitter, stronger?" Frank ponders this for a moment. "You always ask the deepest philosophical questions, you know that." "Oh, come on, as if this whole business doesn't raise them anyway." Frank laughs and takes a sip of his beer. "Ha ha ha! I can see that the label reads Brahma. As far as I can recall, in Hindu folklore, Brahma is the father of Manu, i.e. mankind. He is also known as Vagish, the Lord of Sound." "Well, to answer your question, it comes down to one word: memories." "Memories?" "Yeah, buddy. That's what makes you who you are. If your soul is in anything, then it is in your memories. Think about it. You went into the booth in Perth. Then you walked out and found yourself in Melbourne. No interruptions in your memories. Am I right?" "Yes, you're right." You get one shot at life, and that one shot is nothing more than a long list of memories. That's what makes a lifetime, or as I like to call it, a timeline. That's what makes you one person, even when every single molecule and atom is constantly being replaced, until there isn't anything original left. That's all that stands between you and oblivion, memories to which you can add. It is the reason we despair to see our loved ones suffering from Alzheimer's. Remember what happened to Baba Vera. They might not die, but they lose their soul. They lose who they are. So you see, I don't care if my body is getting old and worn. I prefer it to a newer body any day, because that newer body would necessarily take away memories I've already made. It would also take away from my timeline. So it would take away part of my life. And remember, the memories that are added at the end are just as important as the early ones, maybe even more so. Every new line that gets added to my face builds on what has gone before. It means I'm getting richer in experience and life. Why would I want to lose that? But what about the fact that you could be, younger again? You were so worried about erasing yourself before. Well, let me tell you, that is precisely what happens when you erase memories. The more you lose, the less the younger you is the same person. Someone would be younger, but the further back you go, the less that person is you. Basically, your memories are what connect you to your printed self. Otherwise, you're just making a different person. I'm starting to see why you want me to make copies frequently. Good. Consider that you could keep coming back to the same moment time after time. But if you have absolutely no memory that you've done it 100 times before, that wouldn't be a life. That would be like Groundhog Day, without the prescience of what is going to happen on that day. It would be like having no ability to retain short-term memory. It would be having a multitude of parallel lives while only being aware of one of them at any given time. And arguably we already have this in what's called the multiverse. No, what we want is one timeline. That is what life is. Okay, I think I get it now. By the way, it's the same reason we don't want to start printing extra copies of ourselves. Making an extra timeline wouldn't add anything to the one we've already got. And it would just complicate things enormously. 5:43 p.m. It's been a long day at the office, and I'm hurrying down Burke Street on my way to the Docklands Sports Courts. I've convinced Silvio that we should run there to warm up. As we get to a set of lights, I stop to check my phone. I have an idea that I've missed an email from D1. I connect to my email account via their mobile network, and my suspicion is confirmed. He doesn't sound happy. Hi, D2. Geez, you're a hard man to track down. I try Skype all the time and you're never online. Even when you were, it just rang through. Are you avoiding me? I hope you're not pissed off about drawing the short straw. It could have happened to either of us. It's just the way it is, eh? Listen, it seems Kylie is starting to smell a rat. According to Mum, she's told Brad about our secret promotion, and he's fallen about laughing. I believe his comment was, "Okay then, show me the money." Kylie was totally stumped. Did I tell you she's already parted with her $2,000 and joined PP to PP? Anyway, when does that first paycheck get deposited? That should swing her around. I reckon I've almost wrapped up the whole deal here in KL. I might be home quite soon. Do you remember Teresa Green? She's acting for one of the other joint venture partners. We're getting along really well, and she's helped smooth along negotiations with the subcontractors. I have a feeling it's good that I don't have my wedding ring. Anyway, I'm dying to speak to someone who actually knows what's going on in our lives. Can you call me on Skype, dude? Christ, I'm even thinking of calling or emailing Frank. I'm desperate. And he's been strangely quiet. What do you reckon? D1. I have to tell you that the last bit makes my heart start racing far more than the running did. The pedestrian crossing light turns green and I'm still typing. Silvio is jogging on the spot. What's up, boss? You look worried. Just some urgent work, Silvio. Hold on a tick. I won't be long. Who's D1? Silvio says, looking over my shoulder. I pull my phone away and glare at him. Oh, for God's sake, you snoop. Mind your own business. I type out. Sorry, D1. Frantically busy at work. Leaving early, getting back late. First pay will be transferred tomorrow. Ring Kylie and show her the record online after 6 p.m. or so. It won't appear in your account immediately, but the record of transfer should be there. Do not, I repeat, do not call Frank. Trust me, he'll work out what we've done, and we both know he wouldn't approve. I'll Skype you tonight, okay? 8 p.m. your time, D2. Boss, light's gone green a second time. We're going to be late. Sorry, Sylvia, all done now. I close the cover, put the phone into my pocket, and we resume running. We'll be a couple of minutes late at most. 6:04 p.m. I was wondering when you'd get here. Ian is at outside court number 2 as promised. He's shooting baskets from the 3-point line. I've been watching him since we ran in, and he's shot 4 baskets in a row. Justine is on the sideline, doing the dog pose and looking unhappy. Sorry, Ian, I had a last-minute message to send to a client, I say between gulps of air. Now that's the sort of excuse I like to hear. He shoots another 3-pointer, and I'm feeling a bit light-headed, and I wonder how I'm going to survive the game. Okay, let's see then, Ian says. We'll split up. Silvio, young man, you can play with me. See if you can keep up, okay? We'll be up against Dan and Justine here. Let's show them that a combination of age and youth is the winning formula. Justine looks at me and does her high, cross-eyed look of exasperation. Ian bounces the ball to me. Okay, new guy, you start. Show us what you've got. I try to dribble past Ian, but he deftly intercepts, turns, does a layup, scoring 2 points. He bounces the ball to me and I try again, this time passing to Justine, who goes to catch it. Silvio intercepts, but does so with his fingertips, and the ball goes flying. Ouch! He yells, shaking his jammed fingers. Ian runs for the ball, turns and shoots from the 3-point line and scores. He does a high five with a rather unenthusiastic Silvio. I can see Ian is glaring at Justine, and Justine is glaring at him. I'm wondering what we missed before we arrived. 6:35 p.m. We are now at 25 points, Ian and Silvio, to 2, Justine and I. I'm sweating like a pig, leaning over and panting. Ian is doing a little victory dance, after another three-pointer. He reminds me of someone's embarrassing uncle at a wedding. "Are you okay, Dan? You're looking a bit pale." Justine has a hand on my upper back, which is so wet that my translucent shirt is plastered to my skin like cling wrap. I'm finding it hard to breathe, never mind explain that my heart is pounding in my chest, the pulse is throbbing in my temples, and a hum is growing ever louder in my ears. "I'm not feeling too good. I probably need a rest," I say. I can see Silvio running up. "Boss, you're as white as a sheet." What's wrong, Djurdjevic? Lost your fitness lately, eh? You got to stay in shape, my friend. I can see you've let yourself go." McRae's leaning over in front of me, his face sideways, smiling his square-jawed smile. The hum gets so loud it's starting to drown out his voice. Suddenly the world is spinning, dangerously. I'm waking up. I'm lying on my left side, with my face on the warm quartz surface. I can feel bits of sand and grit against my cheek and lips. An ant comes into focus. It's scurrying past a tuft of grass, growing from a crack that stretches back out of view. I wonder where I am. I can feel a cool evening breeze wafting over me. It's punctuated by someone else's warm breath and the smell of perfume, Chanel No. 19. It's Justine. The memory is coming back to me. "He's waking up." He's just putting it on for sympathy." "Shut up, Ian, he's hurt himself." "Pah, just a scratch, eh, Djurdjevic? You need to get back in the gym, my boy. Put on those runners." I'm tasting blood and I realize that my right lip is starting to swell. I feel the inside of my mouth with my tongue and note that it is lacerated. I'm starting to feel the sting of the court rash on my brow above my eye. From the looks of it, I've fallen forwards onto my face. "Should we call an ambulance?" asks Silvio. "Oh, get a grip, you drama queen. He's a grown man who fell over. Go on, Djurdjevic, get up. Stop embarrassing yourself." "That's enough, Ian," hisses Justine. I start to get up, wondering when McRae started calling me by my surname. I try to use my right arm to help, but it collapses as a sharp pain shoots down from my left shoulder. I use the other arm. "Ow," I say mostly to myself, as I shake my arm about. It seems to be coming from my chest. I'm probing my upper pec on my right side. "Hey, that could be his heart," says Silvio. "Don't be a fucking moron," sneers McRae. "His heart is on the other side." His last words are so heavily laced with playground contempt that they practically drip. "That's enough. You're the winner, again. You don't need to keep rubbing it in." "He's not another orphan, you know. It's not up to you to mother every single hopeless case out there." "You make me sick, Ian." She practically spits the words out. I'm standing now leaning on Silvio, who's put his arm around me, watching a silhouetted Justine facing off against our employer. "What, are you saying I'm wrong? Your little brother is a case in point, as is the little queer you brought into our firm." He gestures at Silvio without looking at him. "And now you're going into bat for a bloke who can't play half an hour of basketball. I make you sick." A mosquito buzzes in my ear and I go to slap it, giving myself a resounding bash. Not only is my ear ringing again, but this time the lobe stings. "I'm going to say this once more, and only once more. Keep away from me. You got it? No more phone calls, no more emails, no more chance meetings." Justine is counting out on her fingers. "Don't come over to my house, and don't pester my friends. And more than anything, stay away from my brother." "What?" Ian has his arms raised at his sides, with his hip cocked to one side. "Do you honestly mean to say that your little smackhead wasn't grateful for my help? I bet he's missing me right now. I bet he rues the day you ever called it quits on us. He appreciated the financial arrangement. But that's hardly surprising. Like sister, like brother, I suppose." "Go to hell." Abruptly, Justine slaps him hard across the face. I wince because I suspect it would have felled me. Her long fingers and palms are attached to similarly lengthy and decently muscled arms. But on McCrae her blow seems to have little more than a glancing effect. He just turns his face back calmly and starts laughing. Actually, it's more of a chuckle than a laugh. "Stay away from us or I'll file a harassment claim so fast you won't know what hit you," she hisses again. Abruptly, McCrae grabs Justine's wrists. She stiffens, and he shakes her violently. Then he brings his face right up to hers, so that his nose is touching hers. "Hit me again, and I swear you'll get it back threefold, understand? As for your miserable little threat, bring it on, sister. I've got more dirt on you than you can imagine, and a hell of a lot more money." He releases her with an abrupt shove, turns, spits on the court, and elbows past Silvio. McCrae turns around as he's walking and addresses me. "I don't know what happened, Djurdjevic, but you were a disappointment. Try not to let it happen again, okay? And find some new friends, if you want a career." I hear him hawking up another spit as he walks away into the gathering dusk. "Are you okay, Dan?" Justine is approaching me. In the half-light, I can see her bottom lip is trembling. In fact, I can see her eyes are welling with tears, of rage, I surmise, because she doesn't look like she's about to fall apart. "Oh, I'm just fine and dandy. Not sure what happened. I must have fainted. It happened in Perth before I left." "Should we be taking you to a doctor?" I rub my lip and cheek. It doesn't feel too bad, and the pain in my arm has subsided. I make a mental note to go to the doctor as soon as possible. But on my own, I really don't want to reveal to Justine and Silvio that I have situs inversus. I think that would be too much for one night. "I don't think it's necessary. I'll be fine. I'll just grab my bag and head for the tram." "Bullshit," says Justine. "You're coming back to Caulfield with me. I can have a good look at your face and drop you back later. Silvio, are you okay to go home on the train?" "Well, I was going to see if Ian wanted company, but I suppose I should be getting along." He giggles. When he sees Justine's face, he adds, "Come on, you gotta laugh." "I'm not in a laughing mood." Justine's lips are pursed, and Silvio shrugs. "Okay, I get it. Take care, Dano. See you tomorrow. Don't let the bully get to you, Just. He's a dickhead. He might have won the basketball, but he lost you, didn't he?" Silvio checks his watch, picks up his bag, waves, and fades into the shadows. "Come along," says Justine, looping her arm through mine to lead me to the car. I desperately want to be all macho and walk on my own, but I have to admit I'm still very light-headed. You can squeeze a lot of drama into a couple of weeks, I've noticed. 7:18 p.m. It's nearly dark as we pull into Justine's driveway in what is a quiet, narrow street. From the road I could barely tell what sort of house it was. The foliage was so overgrown that it almost completely obscured the building, particularly in the twilight. But I can now see that Justine lives in a 1930s cottage, one of those double-brick, high-ceiling constructions with a fireplace and a clay-tiled roof. Her place has clearly been renovated. The exterior has a kind of Balinese flavour, with a row of foxtail palms along the fence line, potted succulents along the house, and a matted screen fencing off the back. She stops outside the front door, pulls up the handbrake. We haven't spoken so much as a word for the entire journey. It is apparent that she is furious. Anyway, I've not been feeling up to conversation. But as she opens the door, she says, "Do you need a hand out?" She doesn't wait for me to respond. Instead, she says, "Stay there," and goes to unlock the front door. I'm desperate not to be a wuss, so I'm getting out of the car on my own anyway. As I do so, I hear Justine's muffled voice yelling into the house. "Zah, get out here, now!" I'm okay, I say, but she rushes around to my side and insists I put an arm around her shoulders. The world is still spinning, but I think this time it's because of the mild concussion sustained when hitting my head, not the whole fainting thing. That would explain the sudden nausea I'm feeling. "Balthazar! I told you that I need your help!" She shouts this and almost blasts my eardrum. "It's like he's still a teenager, I swear. Spoiled brat," she mutters. "It's my fault, of course." By this stage we're entering the corridor which opens out into the living area. I can see the interior has been renovated, albeit to a somewhat eclectic taste. 60s retro vinyl furniture, white IKEA shelves, a somewhat incongruous cowskin rug on a light glass-polished wooden floor, shelves and shelves of books, a large uniform penguin collection, and everywhere on each wall artworks that I assume are Justine's. Lots of portraits, mostly in oils, it seems. With thick layered brush strokes, I can see one of an infant Tsar sitting in a cardboard box, another impressionistic one of a teenage version, sitting at a dining table, chin on fist, some palette-knifed brush landscapes, some boldly coloured abstracts. There are also some rather random and absurd, if not comical, samples of postmodernist art. I don't know which movement is which, but I'm thinking Stuckism, Thinkism, Funism, etc. At a casual glance, it all looks like interesting stuff. If I weren't feeling so sick, I'd be having a closer look. Justine eases me into a 60s chair just as Tsar turns up, his hair matted, his eyes bleary. "Oh, for God's sake, where were you?" "Just having a lie down." "What the fuck, Just?" "Oh, hi, Dan." "Hey, what happened to you, mate?" "He's had a fall, that's what." "I could have done with your help just now. And for Christ's sake, look at this place." I suspect she means the dishes, piled high in the sink, the spills, crumbs, globs of butter and other debris left on the benches, and the clothes littering the corridor. "Didn't know we were expecting company." "Why can't you fucking clean up after yourself, just for a change?" Her lip is trembling as she throws her car keys on the dining table. "Sorry, Dan," she says somewhat absently. "Hey, that's okay. I don't suppose anyone has a bucket? I'm feeling a bit queasy." The words have an almost instant effect. Both Tsar and Justine start to panic. I'm looking at the floor, wondering how much of the cowskin rug I'm going to miss. I start lurching as I hear Tsar's footsteps running, then sliding down the corridor, presumably to the laundry and back. "Here you go!" He thrusts it at me, and I grab it with both hands and then vomit explosively in successive waves. Even after the spasms start to subside, I decide it is probably wiser to leave my head in the bucket, listening to the reverb of my coughs and splutters. I'm noticing the soap scum line. They obviously use this one for soaking things. "Something's not right. I think we'll have to take you to the hospital," says Justine. I hold my hand up. "Concussion," I say, emerging from the bucket. The first part of the word sounded all hollow. "Just a bit of concussion. Combine that with dehydration, and that's what I've got. No big deal. Seriously, been there, done that. I used to play fly half in rugby. Had far worse. Trust me, I should be right now." I hand it back to Tsar, who takes it to the laundry. Justine sits down opposite me and starts taking off her runners. I can see some of the strands of her ponytail have started coming out. She's frowning deeply and her eyes are still welling with fluid. She takes off her second shoe and flings it down, and then lies back in the chair, as much as comfort will allow anyway. These retro chairs were never all that big on the comfort factor. They're a bit like the vinyl clothing they used to make back in those days. It might have looked hip, but it wasn't really all that functional. Tsar returns with the freshly emptied bucket and puts it next to me. "Ta, mate. Should be right now. Feeling a whole lot better." I hear a deep sigh from Justine, who rises, bends over to pick up her shoes and far-flung socks, and then disappears from view. "What the fuck happened, dude?" asks Tsar. "Don't know. I overdid it and fainted, fell forwards on my face, like a total drongo." "Is this the stupid basketball match you had with that Ian McRae fuckwit?" "The very same. He wasn't very nice about it, I'm afraid. Especially," Justine is standing in the corridor and makes the sign for me to zip my lips, "especially about my lack of stamina." I'm no doctor, mate, but passing out, that's pretty unusual. How long did you play for? Not long. I think I've got an anemia or something similar. It happened in Perth just before I left. So I need to have it checked out. Should be fine, though. The doctors and RPH didn't seem to think much of it. At that moment, Justine appears with some Dettol, some cotton wool and some Band-Aids. Tsar, make yourself useful. Give the man an ice pack for his lip. As soon as she says this, Tsar jumps up and goes to the kitchen. A frozen pea's okay. I said ice pack, dummy. The soft one in the side of the door. No, I can't see it. Oh, there it is. He suffers from domestic blindness, explains Justine. She's wiping the grazes with the stinging Dettol, doing so with a kind of grim determination. Most men I know seem to have that condition. Do you? I'm afraid so. I thought as much. Tilt your head a bit forward. She wipes a bit more and stands back. I don't think I'll put anything over the grazes. They'll heal faster if they're left uncovered. Tsar is holding out the ice pack, which she grabs and thrusts into my hands. I apply it to my lip as Justine goes to get rid of the cotton wool and Dettol. Tsar is standing next to my chair, slouching, hands in pockets, one corner of his lips curled up. He looks like Justine right now. I can hear a tap running. What shall we have for dinner? You probably don't feel like eating, Dan. Her voice becomes louder as she walks into the room again. But I'm starved. Pizza, Tsar? Sounds good to me. I hate cooking, she says matter-of-factly. Especially on a night like this. Call up Ciela's, will you? She says to her brother. Get a prosciutto, Mediterranean lamb, and the gorgonzola. We can have it for leftovers as well. She turns to me and adds, they make a great gourmet pizza. So how are you feeling now, Dan? Better? Justine seems to have cheered up a little, but I suspect it is more than a little forced. Surprisingly chipper, I say. Let me see that lip. She pulls the ice pack away. You'll live. 8:43 p.m. Justine is curled up on the couch, a glass of red wine in her hand. Tsar is opposite me. His eyelids are starting to droop, and his head is nodding. Empty and partly empty pizza box detritus is strewn about on the coffee table. I'm amazed at how much a slender girl like Justine can eat. Tsar, honey, you've taken your Avanza, haven't you? Huh? Tsar looks up, but there is a lag time in the opening of his eyes. Justine sighs deeply. You see, she says, this is how it goes. 1 minute fine, the next I have to guide him to the bedroom, or the bathroom and then the bedroom, which is what I have to do now, and he barely remembers a thing the next day. The next hour is pretty much wiped out. She puts her glass down and goes to her brother, helping him get up gently. Come along then. The last word is laboured with the effort of heaving him up. I'm wondering if I should get up to help. I'm actually feeling a lot better. I've even eaten some pizza, and I'm nursing my own glass of red wine. This way, mate, she says, leading him off. Once she is gone, I get up and start clearing the boxes from the coffee table. I combine the remaining slices of pizza into a plastic container that I find under the sink. Then I put the empty cardboard boxes next to the bin. After that I start stacking the dishes into the dishwasher, which I notice is quite full. I'll admit that I have this compulsion to do washes with very little in the machine, something Kylie hates. After I've done that, I start to wipe up the bench tops and counters. I can see what Justine means about the mess. I hear a door closing quietly, and Justine re-enters the kitchen. Oh, please don't do that. I'll get it later, really. Nope, feeling much better. You sit down and finish your wine. She shrugs her shoulders and flops back on the couch, drawing her legs up and hugging them like a teenager. When I look up from the sink, I notice she is staring at me. Something makes me say, You and your brother are very close. You mean too close. No, I meant that in the nicest way possible. I think it's something really special. I don't even have siblings. Anyway, Tsar clearly worships you, and you are so caring towards him. I definitely wasn't trying to make any sort of suggestion along Ian's lines. At my mention of Ian, Justine's face darkens. I tell you, I'm still so fucking livid. She pauses to take a big drink of her wine, draining the glass. I'm afraid you might have to stay here tonight. Sorry. I'll probably be totally sloshed in a short while. I won't blame you. So what are your plans? Are you going to go ahead with harassment action? You heard him. It'd be one heck of a battle, and I'm not sure I'd win. Actually, I think he'd bury me. He said he had some dirt on you, does he? Justine takes a deep breath. Yes, that he does. I just don't know the extent. I put some dishes away in one of the top cupboards where I notice they are kept. I talk without turning around. Do you mind me asking what that dirt might be? Obviously, you don't need to answer. If you don't want to, I add. Justine thinks for a bit, pours the remaining wine from the bottle. Eventually she stretches out lazily and yawns, a deep, long yawn. Sorry, Dano, I'd rather not say. Not tonight, anyway. I'm too tired. It's too late. Anyway, I'm pretty sure you won't like me very much when you find out. I can't believe that. Besides, you just said when, not if. Seems to me you think it will come out eventually. Unless, of course, I accede to Ian's blackmail. Which you won't want to do. Exactly, she says, with a slightly slurry voice, takes another gulp. I'm thinking if I can just stick it out with Branka. She runs our property division with pretty much no interference from Ian. And we don't have much to do with his litigation side. She should be able to protect me. On the other hand, Ian hasn't let up since I broke it off in early December. He's a bully. He's obsessive, and he's not used to losing. Her eyes glaze over as her mind drifts. I'd like to know more about Ian's role in Tsar's addiction, but I don't want to change subjects just yet. Instead, I say, so then tell me about it. We'll work out a plan together. 2 legal minds are better than 1, right? Justine thinks of this for a moment and sighs. Ah, Dan, if you were anyone else. But how am I supposed to tell dark and sinister secrets to someone who's basically Danny Kaye reincarnated? Hey, he happens to be a hero of mine. And can't you just tell? Justine starts guffawing. She laughs until she starts to choke and cough. I'm watching her somewhat soberly, wiping the last of the pots on the rack. She's still chuckling as she drains the rest of her glass, and I can see the red stain of the wine on her lips. Whoo-hoo, needed that. Numbs the nerves. I used to do that, you know, when I was younger. Dutch courage. The last part is related with eyes that focus into middle distance again. You really are a strange sort, nothing like I initially thought, and nothing like I thought after that. I have to say you have an impressive public persona, totally confident, always in control, saying all the right things at the right time. That's my professional face, crafted over many years. It's a facade, but not a total facade, if you know what I mean. Sure, it's you, but just not all of you. Yep, she's swaying a bit. We Chinese call it Wu Wei. Do nothing and everything gets done. It's a kind of manipulation, but in a good way. Her blink is slow. I can see she's getting tired and tipsy. Then you go and tell me all kinds of personal details about your parents and your brother, your passions and dreams. That part wasn't Wu Wei. I was just telling you because I just wanted to. Okay, so I at least should know something about you, right? But I still didn't have a clue. Just a whole lot of data. Then tonight out comes the real Justine. As I say this, I notice she is swaying slightly, still hugging her knees. Ah, so, Who am I, Sherlock? I'm still not entirely sure. But you get frustrated, you get mad, you lose your cool. There are chinks in your armor, you're human. Yep. I can see she's more than tipsy, she's drunk. I'm that, and a manipulator, and a liar too, by omission at least. And now I'm officially pissed. Pissed as a newt. She regards me with heavy eyes. So what about you? What's with your Walter Mitty shtick? What do you mean? I'm walking back into the lounge, where I settle opposite her in the uncomfortable 60s chair. You know, bumbling 1 minute, next thing I see you taking charge, organising things at the gig, at home, at work. Branka said your legal reputation is rock solid, and she said you totally dominated the interview. And the next thing you start playing the shy guy. Is about as different as, I don't know, Danny Kaye in The Court Jester. Remember when he's under the witch's spell? He's like this amazing sword fighter. She's waving an arm around as if she's fencing. And when he's not, he's a bumbling clown. The latter is also demonstrated with a flourish of arms, ending in a face that looks like that painting The Scream, or maybe Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone. So, which is the real you? A bit of both, I suppose. It doesn't help that you happen to make me nervous. When she hears this, she chuckles. I must say I've been enjoying that. It means you like me. Ha ha, I say ruefully. Well, it's official. I'm transparent to everyone else, so why not to you? Justine is giggling and clasping her hands together. She's a happy drunk. And I just love the little things like... She waves her hands as she tries to remember. Oh yes, the way you Google stalked me and Zara and then played the I Just Love pub bands card. You're quick, but you're a terrible liar. I'm feeling myself go red. Guilty as charged, Your Honour. I think that even in her drunken state she can tell I'm a bit hurt by the last comment, so she adds, this time a little more soberly. I did the same, you know. Google stalked you. Guess what I found? Zip, nada, zilch. You got no Facebook profile, no LinkedIn profile, no Pinterest, Tumblr, MySpace, Google+, Instagram, Twitter accounts, no nothing. General Google searches are useless. There's some other Dan Djurdjevic who turns up on everything. Who'd have thought? You were Googling me? I said enough with the Walter Mitty act, remember? Abruptly she gets up, unsteadily leans over, puts her arms around my neck, and kisses me on the lips. I taste wine, some garlic from the pizza. She's a bit unsteady and sort of falls into my face. The fool that I am, I say, ouch. Don't be a baby. And she kisses me again, this time softly. As she pulls away, she says quietly, You're going to regret getting to know me. You know that, don't you? I think you've got it the other way around, I reply. But she's not listening. She's sashaying up the corridor and returns with a sheet, a doona, and a pillow. For the couch, Buster. I'm not that easy. At least I don't want to be. Besides, I'm just too drunk. Good night. I watch her teeter out of view, and I wonder what just happened. I wish some of the cheap plonk was left in the wine bottle, as I doubt I'll get any sleep. How I'm going to get to work tomorrow is another story. I suppose we'll sort that out in the morning.